You're listening to the BowHunterPlanet podcast, your gateway to the wonderful world of archery.
Hey guys, Dave Thomas here at BowHunterPlanet.com, and welcome to our podcast here. We are doing a special edition with TENPOINT to talk about their brands this year, the new stuff coming out. Brian's going to take us through that, take you guys through that, which is very exciting, mainly because you not only get to see the bows in what they're putting out, but you also get to hear a little bit of the stories behind the scenes on how these things work. So Brian, welcome to the show. It's great to have you again. Every year we do this, and it's a lot of fun to kick off the different bows from TENPOINT and Wicked Ridge. I guess, before we get started, how did 22 go for you guys? And, maybe tell us a little bit about anything that surprised you in 22.
Well, Dave, thanks again for having us on. I think this is probably the third or fourth year that we've done this type of podcast as we launch our new crossbows. And, we just appreciate the chance to get in front of your audience. I know you guys have some passionate bow hunters over there at BowHunterPlanet. So it's always, I always enjoy doing this podcast, make sure we get the new information out, the new products out to your audience. And, 2022 was a tremendous year again for us here at TENPOINT. One of the things I think that we're most proud of as we continue to bring out new technology for hunters out there is just to see, especially right now, as we launched, the rut just finished up here in Ohio, and just seeing the amount of passionate bow hunters that we have here at TENPOINT is truly incredible. I continue to believe, and we continue to believe, that that's one of our main advantages. We're a family-owned company, and from management to ownership, to employees, to the people putting your bow together, to people testing your crossbow. I mean, we are all passionate bow hunters, and we just see, so many people here have taken great bucks here in Ohio. Obviously, it's a great state for deer hunting. And it's just awesome that we're passionate bow hunters. And that truly makes a difference because we understand what hunters want. We understand the emotion that they go through and kind of what they're looking for, with their crossbow choice. And so for me and for us, that's always one of the most exciting things when we bring out new product is we know that the people designing the product, engineering the product, testing the product have been sitting in a tree stand here in cold Ohio for the past couple of weeks. And it really makes a difference, I feel like, when we bring out our new product. So that's a huge deal for us. And I think as you see our 2023 product, it really reflects what we bring out.
Yeah, I think I was going to say real quick before you get started on it, to me, when we talk about history, heritage, obviously TENPOINT has so much of that and has done an amazing job providing people with the best crossbows in the world, realistically, and giving such a variety. I just don't know. I don't know if people realize what you guys actually have. And I would suggest going to the website to see it, but you guys have such a huge variety of price points is my point. Cause a lot of people always think they have to go with the highest end. I get it. And that's great. If you can afford it, go for it. But you guys offer a lot of bows, across the spectrum. And I think that's super important to get a person using a crossbow is like, hey, if I don't want to spend a ton of money, I could still spend a lower amount of money, under $500, and still pick up a crossbow from either Wicked Ridge or TENPOINT. And I think it's really important to state that. Also, I don't know if I sent you this picture, but I don't know if I sent you, but my son killed his first buck with a Wicked Ridge this year. I don't know if I sent you that.
Nice.
I can't remember. So
nice.
I got to find that picture and send it over to you. But yeah, I forgot I let him choose. I'll be honest. I said to him, you choose whatever crossbow you want out of all of them, different brands, everything that was up there we had. He chose the Wicked Ridge and he loves it. He was like, man, this is the perfect bow, Dad. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, man. And so he got his first buck. He was pumped. My father-in-law was pumped. He took him out and got him on a nice little 6-point. But it was exciting. And, for him to have that experience, know how to use the crossbow. He's 13 years old now. He knows how to use it completely, how to cock it, how to do everything. It was a nice moment. For us, but
he's probably hooked on it now, right? He's hooked on hunting. I bet
he's down. I'm trying to train him across all of hunting, so he has had a lot of success with crossbows. I do want to get him on to understand how to use a gun and also a compound as we go. But he's got crossbow down now. He's loving it. And the thing that I love about it is he can learn distance as well. So he's starting to learn 20-yard pop shots, cool. But with this crossbow, I actually can reach out further. So now I need to practice at further distance, whether it's 30, 40, 50 yards. He's now practicing longer range. And I think it's really exciting to see, and also get him to test those things. And I like, to be honest, you know, I'm so used to doing it all myself. It's kind of fun to have a kid doing it next to me, you know,
Yeah.
playing around with it. So
Yeah. And like I said, you know, us understanding the different hunters, the abilities, the ages, you know, what they're going through in practice versus, you know, when the moment of truth comes. I mean, it's just great that we can share in our customer success. I mean, we love seeing the photos. You know, we have a wall of photos down in our customer experience department where, you know, they truly do share a bond with our customers when they speak to them and they follow up with them. So it's, you know, covering all those price points allows us to really kind of be with um, hunters of all different levels, all different skill sets, and you know, different from beginners to veterans with it. So it's certainly awesome to be able to cover all those price points and you know, have a crossbow for everybody.
yeah, super important as well. Obviously, you know, people need to have that ability and what they can afford. But again, you know, I mean, when we think about it, if you look at compound market, a lot of those bow companies don't really have a middle ground, to be honest. They might have like a high end, you know, high end in the compound bow market be like $1,300 to, let's say, a carbon, which is around around 2,000, right? And some of those companies don't even have anything less than 800, right? There's nothing that goes even beyond that. So it's interesting to me that, and there are maybe one or two that do, but that's my point. The ones that do, I feel, are very more successful, including you guys, on how you have that ability to cover the spectrums. I think it's super important. So anyway, all right. So what do we got? This is exciting.
Cool.
Super
Cool.
pumped.
So I've got 3 new bows to cover here coming out for 2023. And as you're going to see, a lot of engineering goes into it, a lot of technology into it. You know, last year we brought out the Nitro 505. I will tell you that we have not broken the 505 barrier. So I'll bring these new models out and we'll take a look at them.
Awesome. And let's be honest, we don't need to break it. It's super fast. Plus, it's actually
All right, so
overperforming from our testing.
yeah. So
Crazy.
let me show you this one here, and I'll try to get as best I can in the camera here. This is going to be the new Flatline 460. And really the thought process behind this bow, it's a micro footprint, very, very small. It's 26.5 inches in length, 7.5 inches when cocked. And so this bow to us is really about the hardcore hunter. It's about the guy that puts in 110%. It allows him to really carry less into the woods. So throw this over your shoulder, throw your tree stand on your back, carry all just the essential necessary gear that you need to be successful out during your hunt. And it allows you to kind of get in tighter spots, kind of travel through thicker woods, whatever spot that you're getting to. It gives you more shot coverage in the tree stand or the ground blind with being such a small footprint. So we understand the hunter that sits out there all day, the hunter that's going to travel further to get into his hunting spot. And that's what this bow is all about. It shoots 460 feet per second. So this is the fastest compact crossbow. So at 26.5 inches and 7.5 inches wide, shooting 460 feet per second. And that's with an actual hunting arrow that is packaged with. So getting great speed out of that. A couple new features on this as well. If you can see, we have new scope struts for 2023. And basically that's going to increase the strength of the scope reel by 80%. So it's giving it more accuracy, more durability. You know, if you drop your bow during the hunt, if you kind of hit the scope as you're getting to your spot, this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal in accuracy as we went through the testing phase. And like I said, that's going to increase the strength by 80%. This bow comes with 2 different scope options. It comes with our 100-yard EvoX Marksman Elite scope, which we've had out in the past before. And then also comes with the Burris Oracle X as a scope option. So again, you know, the guys that want to extend their effective range a little bit further out there, that's, you know, where the range finding optics come in. Obviously, at TENPOINT, we've never advocated shooting deer, you know, at long range distances. But, you know, for the guy that is comfortable shooting 30 or 40, and maybe he's in a spot where the deer are getting in at 50 yards, that might give him the confidence with a range finding the scope to go out at 50 yards instead of 40 yards. Again, certainly not 100-yard shots. We've never been in that game. We won't be in that game. So we look at the range finding optic as extending your effective ethical hunting range. This bow is a reverse draw design. So if I give you a look here, you can kind of see that micro footprint to it.
Looks awesome.
Reverse draw design. Again, that gives you that gives you a lot of advantages. You have more speed with less of a draw weight, so it's a smoother shot. It's going to keep the string, it's going to keep the arrow nock engaged with the string for a longer period of time as it travels down the rail. So that's an accuracy advantage there. Then it's also going to allow you to hold steady. I mean, we know how it goes when you get a long stare down and you're in a tree stand with a crossbow, and having all that weight in the middle of the crossbow allows you to hold it steadier for a longer period of time, again, increasing your accuracy on those shots. A couple more things on here. I don't have it on it, but it comes with a 16-inch arrow. And what that allows us to do is to keep that compact footprint. So some compact crossbows on the market, you see the short length, but you also see an arrow that hangs over the crossbow by 4 or 5 inches. Well, every single piece of our crossbow is really purposely built. It's an integral piece to the overall package. And that 16-inch arrow keeps the micro footprint. So it keeps it inside of the foot stirrup, whether you're in the tree stand, or protects your broadhead from dirt and grit and the ground blind as well. So again, even the smallest of details are really integral into building a complete compact hunting system like this that this Flatline 460 is.
That's sweet.
What else?
Is it, what about safety?
This, Dave? Comes with our AccuSlide, so the silent cocking and safe decocking. Again, one of the major advantages for 10-point crossbows is the safety cocking. So we've all gotten down out of our tree stand when it's 15 degrees out, and if your hand would slip on our crossbows as you're decocking, if your hand would slip, that handle stops in its place. So we hear instances all the time where people's hands slip off that handle and they say, "I'm certainly glad that I have a 10-point AccuSlide, because if not, that handle would be flying all over the place."
Yeah. I've heard of that happening. Actually, it happened last year. A guy with a different brand, and it came around and hit his hand. It hurt bad. He's like, "Oh man."
Yeah.
So it is important. People don't think about that, but that kind of stuff is. What about as far as I know you guys have this on there, but like maybe explain the how it can't fire without the bolt in there.
Yeah. So all of our crossbows come with our DFI, so our dry fire inhibitor on the AccuSlide crossbows. So again, if you forget to load an arrow, and we see this a lot actually when people are sighting the bow in at the range, because you kind of just get in the habit. All right, take a shot, let's check it, let's make our adjustments. All right, taking, and all of a sudden, your third or fourth shot, you forget to load an arrow. We see that happen. So that's our dry fire inhibitor that will prevent the bow from firing if there's not an arrow loaded on there.
We've probably saved. We probably would have blew up like 20 crossbows over the years if not for anti-dry fire type stuff. There's so many times click.
Yeah,
like, what was that?
you'd be surprised at the amount of times that people just forget. They get comfortable, they get in a habit, and they just forget. One of the other things on here, Dave, too, is so that marksman elite scope that I mentioned, again, it's a variable speed scope. It also comes with a dovetail bubble level. So if you do purchase it with the marksman elite scope, it comes with that bubble level, again, to help eliminate tilting of the crossbow, which, as we know, as you get out to longer distances, that really affects the left and right accuracy. So really important. If you don't go with a range finding optic, if you do select the marksman elite scope, you have that bubble level on there as well to help with accuracy.
I feel like the packages that 10-point puts together for your main bows each year are very what's the word? They are very sleek, but also compact in the sense that there's like so much quality just pushed right into it. Like it feels everything's stacked, like I feel like everything is just put in there and ready to rock. And I feel like people who haven't shot this platform or these type of platforms from you guys are missing out dramatically. Cause I mean, there's just so much premium put into these small packages. Especially at all of them, but the higher end, you can really tell when you get into the Nitro 505. When I shot that last year, I mean, it is just so much power just right in front of you. It just feels so nice. And when everything comes in like that, when it's at full draw, it just a beautiful, beautiful system.
We love the details too. Everybody's going to get caught up on the speed, the width, the weight, the accuracy. But as I kind of alluded to, even I showed you the bow hanger, right? The Century bow hanger. I mean, you'd be surprised that there's crossbows out there that don't come with a bow hanger. So a guy gets into his tree stand. What's the first thing that he does? All right, where am I going to hang my bow?
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't have a bow hanger. So that bow hanger is on there. So even stuff like that, the little details, we're always thinking about the hunter and the situations that he's going to be in.
Now this bow here will be, is this going to be the main bow for this year?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be our main bow. Obviously the Nitro 505 is still the king.
Got it.
Really, it's really with the addition of this bow and the next bow that I'll show you, we really have a trio of the fastest crossbows in the world. From, the Nitro 505 obviously is the king. It's shooting at 505 feet per second. When you're talking about a compact platform, like I mentioned, for this one, it's the fastest compact crossbow. And then also we have our fastest forward draw crossbow, which is going to be shooting 450, which I'll show you next. So really, with those three, they're the fastest and most accurate trio on the market, and certainly the fastest and most accurate trio that we've brought out.
What will be the price point of this bow?
So this bow is at $25.99 with the Evo X scope, and then it's at $32.99, so an additional $700 with the Burris rangefinding scope.
Yeah, so the Nitro 505 is at $30.50, right?
Correct.
$3,050 basically.
Correct.
And that's with the regular scope that you have on, similar to this one, maybe the same one, but that scope. And then you guys also offer that one, the Oracle X, and then the
with the zero.
Sorry, yeah, zero. I was
looking
at the prices too, because there's price differences there too as well.
Yeah, and I should mention the scope struts. Those will also be on the Nitro 505. I don't have a new one up here with me, but those will also be added on to the 505.
With these additions, will some of the crossbows you have currently come off for sale? Like, will some of them come off this page, or will they all still be available?
Yeah, so the Havoc will no longer be available. The Vengeance will no longer be available, and those are the two that won't be available. And then obviously. But and you'll see as I get to the third bow, it'll be a new Viper. So the Viper gets a speed and accuracy upgrade as well.
Cool. All right.
I'm telling you though, like I can't wait to get you one of these bows though, because I'm telling you, with how compact it is and the micro footprint, like, our owner, Rick Bednar, hunted with this fall as we were going through the testing phase. And he came back and he said that he would never hunt with anything other than a bow with this small footprint. He said it's just easy.
Yeah.
It's just
I
so
love
easy.
compact.
You get to, carry the minimal stuff to the field that you need, because we all know how it is when you're carrying everything under the sun to get to your tree stand. It's like, it's cumbersome. And this eliminates a lot of that.
And you said this one will also have the availability of the Burris scope. Will it also have Garmin as well, or no?
No, it'll only be the Burris scope.
All right. So does that mean that people, can someone still buy the Garmin and put it on there? Is that possible or no?
They can, not directly through us right now.
Correct. I was just curious if it's still like a standalone product that could be additional if someone wanted that.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because with this with these scope struts that I mentioned as well, we also have a longer dovetail. So it's an 1.5 inch longer dovetail, which obviously gives you, if you don't purchase a bow with the range finding scope, it gives you the strength and the length to put it on, the bigger range finding optics, things of that nature. So with those scope struts, we also have a longer dovetail in there as well.
I haven't actually shot it with the Burris Oracle X yet. That's one of the things. Actually, I finally have those are coming finally. They were on back order. We couldn't get them for a while from Burris, but they are sending some. So I'm actually very excited about this, to somehow connect this to yours and get it going. I think it'd be really exciting to do that. And I've never used a range finding crossbow scope yet on a crossbow, so I'm really pumped. And I know you guys have been pushing it for a couple of years, that option. So very exciting.
And it eliminates the gap shooting, which again, I know that when we first came out with the range finding scope, the first thing people said is, TENPOINT's going for the long range hunting game, so they have a long range finding scope. And to us, it was never really about that. And the majority of people that I speak to that are believers in it, it's really about eliminating the gap shooting. It's saying, he's between 20 and 30. I'm going to put it halfway up or this or that. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
When you have that range finding
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, 30, it's 27. So
people have been bashing this type of product, not just here, but for the compound bow market as well a little bit. And I don't really care what they think, to be honest. In my opinion, these concepts for the compound bow and the crossbow are one of the best things that ever happened to the industry, because what we're essentially doing here is allowing a hunter to take a very precise shot without second guessing, or without having to move his hand to bring a rangefinder up and then bring it down and then make it, and then the deer jumps out 10 more yards and now I'm stuck having to figure out what to do and make an unethical shot. There's the possibility of that. This eliminates that and gives us that ability. So to me, and I know everybody's different opinion, but to me this is like amazing. Like I'm totally sold on this concept for crossbow and compound. In my opinion, it's legit, and not just from Burris, but from Garmin. Very happy both brands have decided to do something similar, you know?
Yeah, and you still got to take the shot, right? So when that moment of truth comes and your heart is pounding and you're sitting there in a stare down, yeah, you put the dot on them, but you still got to pull the trigger and make a good shot. So I mean,
Yeah.
there is more to it. At the end of the day, you're still the one pulling the trigger and you're still the one making the shot. It's got to be a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you're still doing the same thing. So if I'm using a rangefinder, I'm still using a digital piece of technology to get me the spot, right? I mean, realistically, I'm still doing the same stuff. I just literally eliminated one step by putting it in the housing realistically. So unless your state prohibits rangefinders type stuff, then I understand that's fine, is what it is. But either way, but you can still, so the normal scope on this is which scope again? Which is going to be the normal scope?
It's Evo X Marksman Elite scope. So it's going to be a variable speed scope. So again, you dial that scope into the speed of your crossbow with that arrow. Then the magnification will adjust off of that. It's got the external turrets on it for easy sighting in. Aim points out to 100 yards. So we've had that scope for a couple of years. It's really our high end, not range finding scope, if you want to call it that. So yeah, that comes on there.
And will this one have a backpack that you sell that you could put it in, or no?
Yeah, this will fit our Halo backpack, much like it fit the Havoc and the Siege.
Excellent. And then because I know you guys have a lot of great accessories. People don't think of accessories a lot, but I always think of it. So that's why I was saying, like, you know, I knew you guys would have a good scope on it to start anyway. Whether you want to spend the money for the extra stuff or not, you're going to have a good scope. But you know, the backpack, the lighted nocks, you guys have a ton of great stuff that can go with this product. That's really important, in my opinion, you know, to have it.
Yeah, I also want to. The arrow is a big deal. I touch on the arrow, the 16-inch arrow. That's a big deal. Like I said, in this platform, because it keeps it compact. There's no overhang on the crossbow. Your broadhead's protected, so it's a big deal on that.
And to clarify, this crossbow is to be, and I always get a little confused with this, so I'm going to ask the question. But so for this crossbow, you're supposed to use the AccuDraw system built into it? Are you not supposed to use a normal crank?
The AccuSlide. The
AccuSlide for this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you're supposed to use. My point is, you shouldn't manually cock it, correct?
Oh no, and
that's what I was getting at.
So, yeah,
that's why I want to make sure.
The trigger travels down the rail to the string. So
I just want to clarify, because some people don't realize that some of these crossbows now are made so you're not supposed to manually cock it, or you could, you know, mess something up. This is made to use the slide. So
Dave, if you could manually cock this crossbow, I'll give it to you for free. How's that?
Yeah, I don't even want to try. I don't want to.
All right, so you want to move on here?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
you want to take a break and recording real quick? I'm just going to grab a little swig of water.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'll edit it later. It's easier to do one file. I'll just edit it up. Because sometimes if I stop and hit record, I don't know if it's going to work. So we'll just
If it wasn't a red Solo cup, I wouldn't care. All right. So we talked about the Flatline, the fastest compact crossbow ever, 460 feet per second. This is our new Stealth 450, and this is our fastest forward draw crossbow ever. So speeds at 450 with the included arrow. It's a hunting arrow. And as you'll see with this profile, it's 6.5 inches cocked when wide, or 6.5 inches wide when cocked. Sorry about that. So it's actually a little bit smaller on the axle than the Flatline is. So again, going for more mobility. So more shot coverage in the tree stand, more in the ground blind, and you'd be amazed. So as you spend up with crossbows and spend more money on crossbows, we actually look at it over the life of a crossbow, how many more shots on a deer or that buck that comes in that you may get from having a narrow 6.5 inch crossbow compared to a wider crossbow where, if he moves a little bit to your left or your right and you're in the stand, this gives you just more shot coverage. And so it's a big deal for us, knowing the situations that hunters are in, to have a mobile platform like this here. So
that's an interesting way to look at it. Never thought of that. That's actually a really genius way to look at it. It's very smart.
In terms of spending up on crossbows, yeah, I mean, it's would you be willing to spend even 500 more bucks over the course of 5 years to get 5 more shots on the buck of a lifetime, or the buck that's on your hit list that comes in? It's interesting when you think about it in those terms. So 450 on the speed, 6.5 inches wide when cocked. Again, it's going to have those scope struts, so giving you 80% more strength on that scope rail, more durable, more accurate. And so this bow, like I mentioned, it's our fastest forward draw crossbow. And then the same 2 scope options. So it'll have either our Evo X Marksman Elite scope, or the Burris Oracle X range finding crossbow scope. It's going to have our AccuSlide cocking and decocking as well, giving you that safe decocking. It's coming with our S1 trigger, finished in Vail Alpine camo. So that's the Stealth 450. I feel like we covered a lot of the features that were on the Flatline for the accuracy portion of it are also on here with the Stealth. As I mentioned, the scope struts, the dovetail, the scope options. So that is the Stealth.
I love the look of it. It looks awesome. Yeah, it looks so nice. I like the look of it.
Yeah, and it's again, going back to the Flatline versus this one, forward draw versus reverse draw. Again, talking about meeting customers where they're at. Some prefer the reverse draw design. Some people still prefer the forward draw crossbow. Me personally, I still like the forward draw crossbow. I just think for me as a hunter and a shooter, it just feels more comfortable for me. But again, it's having different options for different hunters, different framed hunters, different size hunters.
What's the length of that bow again? The total length?
So this bow is 33 inches.
And what was the other one?
Long. The other one is 26.5.
So a little, definitely smaller. Got it.
Yeah. Again, with that reverse draw, you can have a longer power stroke and not have the length of the crossbow on there. This one with the speed and the power stroke, it's going to be a little bit longer. So again, a different hunter, different options. These crossbows also come with our micro track barrel. I kind of skipped over that on the Flatline, but again, as we talk about the small features, the small details that go into this package, that's a micro track barrel that's going to reduce that string to barrel contact we've had in the past before, but reduce it by about 50%. So we, compared to other crossbows out there, we get hundreds of more shots on our strings because, again, we firmly believe that if you're in the middle of the season, the last thing you should be worrying about is like, are my string and cables going to hold up? So we design a barrel that reduces that contact, so you get longer string life. So you're worried about making the shot. You're not sitting there worried if your string cable is going to hold up.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, what's the
AccuSlide on this? Cover the camo, cover the speed. What else on this Stealth here?
MSRP.
So MSRP, this is going to be at $2,099 with that Evo X scope, and then $2,799 with the Burris Oracle X. So again, that $700 buy up with the range finding optic.
That's awesome.
So
That's
the
really cool.
speed at that price point, again, getting into the $2,000 price point versus, you know, the Nitro and the Flatline that's up there, you know, at almost 3,000 and 4,000 respectively.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I like it. I think it looks great. You know, I agree with you. I like the forward shooting as well. Overall, I don't know why. I don't know if it's a mental thing. It's just my thing more. But like I said, I've shot both, and I know the other one's got so much power. It's unbelievable, and
Yeah.
compactness. So just
Yeah.
depends
I
what
mean,
you're doing. You know.
yeah. And certainly that when you look at a forward draw versus a reverse draw at the same length, and you look at the power stroke that you can build with a reverse draw, I mean, the speed and power advantages, you can't ignore them. I mean,
Yeah.
it just is what it is. But again, we're talking 450 feet per second to 460 feet per second. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident and comfortable with either
Either
of them.
way, yeah. I was gonna say. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a cool one. That's a good price point too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, really,
definitely a
really,
lot of
really,
options.
really love that front end to it. Just so compact, so
Looks
narrow,
awesome.
giving you more shots, allowing you to get into tighter spots.
What's the
So
bolt
that's
size of this one?
450. Now this will take our regular 20-inch arrow.
20-inch.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we got one more bow, and that's our Viper. So, and I want to show you guys that moss green finish that we have.
That's
Because
sweet.
it's pretty dang cool. We've gotten great feedback on that finish, so I pulled this one out to make sure you guys get a good look at that. This bow is available in Vector camo, which is our camo as well. So two different options there. But I have a preference towards the green. I think it's a pretty sharp looking crossbow. So this bow is the Viper 430. It's really it's a faster, narrower, more accurate version of our Viper that we've had. And our Viper over the past 3 years, that was one of the original AccuSlide crossbows that we brought out in 2020. And actually, it's been our best-selling AccuSlide crossbow over the past couple of years. And so we've given it the full speed treatment. We've given it the full accuracy treatment. So like I said, it's faster, narrower, more accurate, shooting 430 feet per second. And again, similar to that Stealth, it's going to have that 6.5-inch frame to it. So again, giving you more mobility in the stand and in the ground blind, easier to get to your spots, less you have to worry about. So that 6.5 inches wide when cocked. This is 33 inches long as well. So it's just going to shoot a little bit slower than the Stealth 450, but again, we're talking 20 feet per second. Still going to have those scope struts, same micro track barrel. It's going to have that longer dovetail again, giving you more strength, more accuracy, and allowing you really more scope options if you want to put a larger scope on a range finding scope. So that's the Viper 430, and it also has our new Rangemaster scope. So we've developed, we've had the Rangemaster scope in the lineup for a few years. We've upgraded the glass on this, upgraded the optics on this. It also has aiming points out to 100 yards now as well. So that's coming. As I mentioned, it got the full accuracy treatment. So that's going to be a more accurate scope. So you have the scope, you have the scope struts, again, playing into the accuracy there. Also going to have our AccuSlide safe decocking system. The great thing about this bow is at its price point. In the green here, it's at $16.99. And then obviously it's $100 up on the Vector camo. That'll be at $17.99. But a really good price point bow. It's got the speed, it's got the narrow profile to it, and it's got the accuracy to it as well. So we think this will be a really, really good crossbow at that price point. You know, you mentioned what at the outset of this, what was one of our surprises in 2022. And I guess I wouldn't necessarily call it a surprise, but you know, our Turbo S1 was one of our best sellers for the year. And so I think that when you see that price point and the features, the Viper is going to come in right below it. And so if I had to predict, and we had to predict, this is going to be a really, really strong selling crossbow.
I love the color of it. It looks sick. Like that color looks so good on that bow right now. I'm like, wow, that's really sweet. Also, this camo you speak of that you guys created or whatnot, that's actually really cool looking. It's the first time I've actually seen it. I didn't know you had your own camo. That looks awesome.
Yeah. The camo suite, and also
Wow.
for for your audience that gets out and shoots these bows, one of the other cool things about our crossbows that perhaps goes a little bit unnoticed, but again, we've been talking about the details, right? You know, bow hunters over here, and we listen to bow hunters, we take it out in the field, is you know, our crossbows have a soft touch finish to it, and it makes it really, really, really comfortable, especially when you're sitting there in the cold. It's just so easy to handle with that soft touch finish to it. So that's something I would encourage your audience, if they get out and see some crossbows, just pick them up and see how they feel. And that soft touch finish is something that's actually pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm glad you brought it up because I forgot to bring that up. But you're right, that is a really important part of it. I was going to say, I was just looking at the colors across some of the different bows. You guys have like a black color, then there's obviously the couple camos, and then this green. But man, they all look really good. When you start to really look at them all, you're like, wow, these all look really good.
I think people would be surprised at how many hours go into looking at camo options, designing a pattern, pulling our customers, seeing what they like versus what is selling through at dealers. I mean, there's quite a bit that goes into it.
Yeah, this camo you guys created is I kind of want it for other stuff. Could you put it on some clothes and stuff? Because that's sick.
So we're calling that it's called Vectra, Vektra.
When did you guys develop this? I don't remember seeing this. How long was this last year?
That came out last year. So
wow, that is so stellar. It looks so good.
So
dang, the green looks good too, though, man. Pops.
I'm sorry.
I'll say the green pops. You know, when you see the logos and everything, it looks wonderful as well.
So that's 3 new bows. 2 of them have 2 different scope options. You know, the one has 2 different camo options. So you're looking at, you know, 6 new SKUs, if you want to look at it like that. So again, as we continue to kind of lead the crossbow marketplace, you don't see us slowing down. You know, one of these times, Dave, you got to get up here and check out our place. And, you know, I'd love to show you like the engineering side of it, because we invest a lot of dollars in the engineering side. And I know I've harped on it. I'll harp on it again. Those engineers are hunters. So they're coming back from the field and they're throwing the ideas on the board. And then our management team, who's also hunters, is looking at their ideas. And then they kind of go back and forth about what they experienced this past weekend. So it's pretty darn cool to see kind of the background and the blueprint of how we get through these designs and bring them to market.
Oh, for sure. I think it's important to talk about that, because I think that a lot of times I'll do live feeds on either TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and there'll be a lot of people ask questions. And I had a couple of people ask questions about the Nitro 505, and one of the comments that someone made was, "Oh, you know, I can't believe they put out something that fast. It's going to blow up, blah blah blah." And I said, "Dude." I said, if there's any brand that can do this and get away with it, it's TENPOINT. And I don't think you realize the amount of testing that goes into these things. And, you know, and that's the thing, people just assume things, but they don't realize. And that was my point originally when we started talking about the history of TENPOINT, that you guys are a crossbow maker first. So that's number one. I mean, there's other brands that make crossbows that make compounds or other things, right? They're not necessarily specific to crossbow. This is your thing. So if you're looking for a brand that's tried and true and an industry leader, it's going to be TENPOINT. That's why for me, when you guys did the 505, I had no doubt in my mind it was gonna hold up. The quality was absolutely going to be there. And so I just thought it was funny that people even thought that, but then I thought, well, maybe they just aren't educated enough in this, right? Because this is important to talk about.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. So quick story, because when I started here, I've been here almost a little over 10 years now. And I'll never forget one of the first meetings that I sat in, our CEO at the time, still the owner, obviously, Rick. We were bringing out a small accessory. It was called, what was it called? It was the Accu rope. So it was a portable rope cocking device that reduced draw weight by 50%. Anyhow, long story short, we were getting ready to launch that ATA show, and his big thing on just a small accessory was that if that thing is not 100% working, and I don't have 25 of them to show our dealers at the ATA show that are working, operable, tested, and don't break, we are not launching this product. And I sat there thinking, gosh, we're just talking about a small accessory. So if you're talking about the Nitro 505, I mean, he's not putting his stamp of approval on something like that. And it always makes me go back to the first meeting when he's talking about, you know, just a small accessory costs, you know, I think $39.99 at the time. And he was like, nope, there is not a chance we're coming out with that if it's not 100% proven. 100% tested.
Quality's king.
Not going to happen. So
quality's so important. So that's why it's good. But all right, well, Brian, thanks for showing us the new bows. This is awesome. I'm really excited for you guys. I think people are going to love what they're seeing. Again, you covered a lot of spectrum on price points, so I feel like it's a huge win for the hunting community at this point. We're going to have a variety of crossbows from the highest level over 3,000 to the lowest level just over 300. So I think what you guys are offering is a huge deal. And it's really important to the industry, especially in crossbows. So thanks for being on. Check out TenPointCrossbows.com, guys, to check out the newest bows and get your local dealer to shoot them. Any last words, Brian?
No. Just looking forward to 2023. Again, for your audience, check in with us. Visit us on social media, 10-Point Crossbows. Check out the bows. Let us know what you think. Good, bad, or indifferent. We always love hearing what our customers have to say. And let's have a great 2023 and then, roll into 2024 and we'll be back here doing the same thing another year, Dave.
Yeah, I hear you. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for watching the BowHunterPlanet podcast. We'll see you next time on the show.
The BowHunterPlanet podcast would like to thank our outdoor partners for their support. It's because of these companies we can keep this show educating, entertaining, and growing the archery heritage.